Hello everybody, today my classmates and I are going to talk about two Ecuadorian novels, La Tigra by José de la Cuadra and Un hombre muerto, puntapiés by Pablo Palacio. And also we are going to see the differences and the similarities between them, and also we are going to talk about the theme, the setting, the characters, the conflict, and the plot.
Hi teacher, I'm Raquel. The story of the Tigra by José de la Cuadra takes place in a rural area of the countryside of Montubia, a state surrounded by jungle on the coast of Ecuador, a very remote place where people live with somewhat old custom. This story occurs during the 1930s.
Characters: Pancha, la tigra, who has a strong behavior; Juliana, the middle sister; Sara, the younger sister; Sotero Naranjo, who has a relationship with Juliana and la tigra; and finally the rural police. Pancha becomes la tigra after she kills 5 men who attack her family. She is now the boss of the farm. She controls her sisters and controls everything. She hides her feelings after she fall in love.
In the Tigra, the problem is about land and who controls the estate. Sara, the youngest sister, is located up by Francisca because she thinks Sara is cursed. Clemente, who loves Sara, wants to save her. Francisca tries to protect her house and stays in control by facing danger from outside and inside.
Hi teacher, I am Veronica. I'm going to talk about the theme of La Tigra. The history focuses on how a woman abuses her power, and she believes that she is protecting her sister, but ends up with her death.
Un hombre muerto, puntapiés happens in a city in a poor neighborhood of Quito with dark streets and many people with problems.
Now I'm going to talk about the narrator, the characters, and the plot of the story of Un hombre muerto, puntapiés. In the story, the main character is the narrator who's talking in first person. The characters of the story are Octavio Ramirez, who was the man who was kicked to death, the police chief who's helping the narrator and the main character to find the evidences, the Ciro Benavides, who was the doctor who was helping this poor man when he was found almost dead. In the plot of this story, we started with the narrator or the main character reading a newspaper about a man called Octavio Ramirez who was found kicked to death. This news or the fact that Octavio Ramirez was killed so in this way is quite ironic for the narrator or the main character, and he gets obsessed with this case that he goes to the police chief and asks him for more details and for more information, but he only gets some photos. So after that he tries to figure out how or why Octavio Ramirez was killed, but he create wrong ideas and a whole story about this man, but is only based on prejudice For example, he believes that Octavio was killed because he was homosexual, he was poor, or he was very bad dressed. At the end, we don't have a resolution of the conflict, so it's only some morals about our society and how homosexual people are treated in this country.
In Un hombre muerto puntapié, the conflict is about violence and Italos Ramirez killed because he is different. The narrator investigates but is full of prejudice and doesn't care much. The story shows how society rejects people who are not like the rest.
Now I am going to talk about the theme of Un hombre muerto puntapiés. The story is about hate and injustice. A man is killed because he's different. This shows death and violence. I'm going to talk about one of the similarities between Un hombre muerto puntapiés and La Tigra. Both stories talk about death and violence.
Some similitudes about both novels. One similitude is the violence, very important and happens everywhere. In La Tigra, violence used to protect La Tigra used to protect her family, and in the other novel, Un hombre a puntapiés, violence happens because of hate and rejection, and ends badly for the main character.
A difference between La Tigra and Un hombre muerto a puntapiés is that in La Tigra, at the very beginning, we started with the conflict and almost the end of the story. And in another hand, Un hombre muerto a puntapiés started or doesn't have a resolution of the conflict and started with the man reading the newspaper about this man who was killed.
And finally, difference will be in La Tigra, violence is done by women, while in Un hombre muerto a puntapié, violence is done with men.